Are you a fan of Pokemon Showdown? Or maybe you're just a fan of Total Chaos? Well, if you answered yes to one or both of these questions, then I have the product for you. See, I managed to make a program that lets you create your own sets for Pokemon Showdown free-for-all random battles. And the best part is, I tried my best to make this in a way that is simple to both understand and use. That way, you and your friends can spend more time making stupid sets and actually playing, rather than trying to fiddle around and get everything to work. Before we get started, I just want to shout out my friend Mikey, who has actually made a few videos using this mod. Please go check out his videos if you want to see an example of this mod in action. Okay, right, let's get into this. As with any tutorial, the first thing you're going to have to do is download all the required files. In this case, we're going to go ahead and start with the Pokemon Showdown server files. To do this, you're going to go over to their GitHub page. I've included a link in the description below, and you're going to go over here to where it says code, and then just click download zip. Now, only the person who's actually planning on running the server is going to have to download this. Everyone else can just ignore this step. Another thing to note is that you are going to have to forge your ports. In order to do that, you're going to want to look up another tutorial, as that's not something that I'm going to be covering here. Fortunately, this is a much easier process than it was like 15 years ago, so it should be pretty straightforward. The next thing that you're going to want to download is node.js. This is once again a file that only the person who's actually going to be running the server needs to download. So to install this, go to the link that I provided in the description, and go over here to where it says Windows Installer, click that, and that should give you a .msi file, and then just click on the .msi file and follow the installation instructions that follow. This next step is technically optional, but I do strongly recommend it because it'll make a later step significantly easier. I recommend downloading Visual Studio Code. This is a program that displays code in a much easier to read way, so things actually have colors, and they also give you line numbers. Even if you think, well, the step that you're going to be talking about later is going to be pretty easy, I don't need this, I do still recommend getting this because when you're making sets, you might make a mistake. And the main file type is JSON files that this works with. So getting something that'll easily let you go in, organize the file, and then make edits that you want to save it again might make your life easier. That way you don't have to entirely recreate the list of sets. So also let you go in and delete sets if you don't want them anymore. So downloading this is still a good idea. I think that only the person actually running the server will need this, but if other people want to be able to go in and modify the sets themselves through this, go for it. It's not a bad idea. Finally, the last thing that you need to download are the programs that I myself made. So I've included a link to the GitHub page in the description below, and you're going to have this page here. The two main things that we're going to be working with are the set generator, which is what lets you actually make your sets, and then the file combiner, which is what combines you and all your friends' sets together into one big file that you'll use. So to download this, just like with the previous GitHub page, we'll go over here to where it says code, click on that, and then download the zip file. Now that you've downloaded everything, I would highly recommend making a folder in which you put these two zipped folders inside. So these are the Pokemon Showdown Master and the set builder that I made. We're going to put them into a folder just for your own safekeeping and organization. So now that we have this, we need to actually extract these files. So to do that, right click and then click extract all, click extract. It should only take a couple seconds. And then you're going to do that with the other one as well. And so now we have two unzipped folders that we can actually work with. Now that we have everything organized, let's go ahead and actually look at how you use this program. So we're going to start by going into ps ranset build main, and we're going to focus first on setgenerator.exe. Now, the first time you click to run this, Windows is going to get a little angry at you. That's okay. Just click more info and run anyway. I promise I'm not giving you any viruses. This might take a little bit of time to load, but here we go. We get the set generator pop-up. Now that the program is open, let's go into how you actually fill this out. So in order to fill this out, you need at least the Pokemon name, one move, an item, ability, and Terra type, and then the output file. The output file defaults to sets.json, though you can change the name if you want. It's just this file right here. then this is also the part where you get to go wild. My program doesn't check to make sure the Pokemon can actually learn the move, so why not pick Magikarp? Why not give it the move Light that burns the sky? And why not give it Leftovers? And the ability Huge Power? And you can make the Terror type whatever you want, let's just pick Psychic. The things to keep in mind here are that everything needs to be lowercase. For the Pokemon name, you shouldn't include spaces and most of the other punctuation. And the level doesn't normally need to be included. However, there are cases where you do need to include it. So let's go over that now. I'm going to click Validate. Validate tells me, okay, everything's valid, so let's go ahead and add this Pokemon, and it spits back an error. It says, not in system, add level. So that means that Magikarp isn't already in the sets.json file, so we're going to have to give it a level. Let's go ahead and give it level 95. Why not? Now we can click Add Pokemon, and there it is. Magikarp is a pretty easy Pokemon to include because it's Magikarp. It only has the one form. So what if you're unsure about how to type something in, be it a Pokemon name or a move name? Well, the way to check is by going to these CSV files. The CSV files are what my program checks to make sure that your input is valid. So if it's in the CSV file, then it is something that you're allowed to put in. Fortunately, CSV files are basically just Excel files, so they're really easy to open. So let's go ahead and open Pokédex.csv. Inside here, there's a list of every single Pokemon that is a valid input. So let's say you want to add Raticate. Well, here's Raticate over here. But what if you're saying, no, not Gen 1 Raticate. I want Alolan Raticate. Well, here's how you should put it in. Raticate Alola. It's right next to it. And this is how you'll put it in if you want Alolan Raticate in your set. And this method of looking through this works for every single Pokemon that you want. So if other Pokemon have different forms, just check this CSV file to see how you should input it. Okay, so now you and your friends have made some weird, wacky sets and you're ready to start playing. Great. How do we get everything finalized and set up so that you can actually use those sets you've made? Well, the first step is to get all of the sets.json files that people have made and get them into this folder. So in my case, I've brought in MikeySets.json. Once you have them, you're going to want to go ahead and open the file combiner.exe. The first time you open this, you're going to get an error from Windows. Don't worry about it. Just do the same thing you did before. It's not showing up here because I've already opened it. Now you're going to want to go ahead and type in the names of those JSON files. So in my case, we have sets.json, and then we also have MikeySets.json. Now you have your files, go ahead and click Combine. It's going to run through and show every single Pokemon that's added. And you should see a new file, combined_sets.json. That JSON file is the file that we're going to care about for the next step here. Now that we have combined_sets.json, let's go ahead and move it over to where we want it to be. So let's go ahead and click on it. I'm just going to right click and click copy. And then we're going to start moving backwards over to where we originally started. So go back, and now we're in this folder that you should have created earlier that has all of the downloaded files in it. Go ahead and open Pokémon Showdown Master. Click it again. And then we're going to need to go into Data. And then we're going to need to go into Random Battles. And then scroll down to find Gen 9 Free-for-All. Open that. And you should see these two files here, sets.json and teams.ts. Let's go ahead and paste our file in here. Now that we have all the files where we need them, let's go ahead and start making the edits that we need to make. Step 1, I personally like to create copies of these two files here because those are the files we're going to be modifying. That way there's a backup in case something goes wrong. Let's go ahead and highlight them. Just go ahead and click copy and then click paste. And there are our copies. Next, let's go ahead and see sets.json and just go ahead and delete that because we're going to replace it with our combined sets.json. To replace it, just go ahead and edit the name of it to be sets.json. And there we have it. We've fixed this part. Now we get to do the difficult part. All right, so now let's go ahead and go over what I'm calling the difficult part. But please remember, when I say difficult part, I really mostly just mean that it's going to look a little scary, especially if you've never done coding before. So the first thing we're going to do is open up teams.ts, and this is where it's really useful to have Visual Studio Code. Let's go ahead and open it up. And you're going to get flashbanged with all of this code, and it's going to look very scary, especially when there's a ton of errors in it. But please trust me, we're going to either be fixing those errors, or those errors are going to go away the first time you run this. And that's why it doesn't look like I have as many errors as you will, and that's because I've run this to make sure that it works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit Control F. That's going to bring up this little search thing here. And we're going to type into there priority item, all one word. You're going to see there's an error here. Don't worry, because we are going to actually be fixing that. What we're going to do is we're going to delete lines 626 all the way down to 702. Just delete that. And then in that space that we have, we're going to type return, parentheses, roll, and close our parentheses. We're going to do the same thing here for get item. So we're going to delete line 640 all the way down to line 684. And once again, return, roll. All right, there's a couple other minor things that we're going to do here. We're going to scroll down here, so it's line 713, and says item equals life orb. Now, this is fine. However, my code puts everything as lowercase. So we're just going to make life orb lowercase. Now, it says there's an error here. However, it just thinks there's an error. Scroll down a little bit more, down to line 740. We're going to do the same thing with choice specs. Just make this all lowercase, and then we should be good. I'm just going to scroll through here. I don't think there should be any more errors. Of course, you're going to have more errors. So wherever it has require, there's going to be an error. Trust me, the first time you try and run this, it is going to be fine. There's not going to be any more errors. All right, so now we have done everything we need to do with this file. So let's go ahead and click File, Save, and we're all good. And if you did something wrong, hopefully you have that backup that you can just go back to, and you can fix it like that. All right, we've done pretty much everything here, so now we just have one last step, and that's to actually get a way to run this. The easiest way is the way that I'm going to show you. So what we're going to do is just go over here to the Pokémon Showdown Master, click on that, and then we're going to create a new text file. So right-click, New, Text Document, and you can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Run Showdown. And we also need to edit this extension, which is .txt. We're going to go ahead and name it as a .bat. It's going to ask if you actually want to do this because it might become unusable. That's okay, just click yes. But then we're going to right-click this and edit it in Notepad. And all you have to do is type in node Pokemon-Showdown, just like this. Click Save, close out of it. And now, if we double-click this, it's going to run, and there you go, you've created the server, it's now up. If you want your friends to join, you'll just have to send them your IP address, and if you want to join, this is what you're going to want to use to join, okay? Very straightforward. Please do not give your IP address to strangers. There are ways to purchase servers online. You can probably just do that. Otherwise, share this only with your friends. And with that, that should be everything you need to create a custom Pokemon Showdown random free-for-all environment. I'll once again plug my friend's videos. Please go watch them. I think they're incredibly funny. And maybe his video is the reason you're here. In which case, hi. Don't really have many videos worth watching, but go ahead and maybe watch my Mega Man Battle Network 3 video. It's a good, fun time to watch. Other than that, please have fun with this mod. My coding isn't the best, but this was something I was able to throw together in just a few days, and we've been having a lot of fun with this. So please share it around with some of your friends, and maybe even leave a comment with some of your set ideas. And who knows, maybe your set will be featured in a Wonder Nuke video one day.